Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get into it with this, this game here. I'm just going to do this one question. So this is game 3 from Prep Test 85. We have a textbook publishing company publishing 6 new books, one in each of 6 subjects, and then they have editors, and each editor has to edit at least one textbook, and each one is assigned by exactly, or is edited by exactly one editor. So let's list our books, L, M, P, R, S, and Z. And then we have these editors, F, G, and H. Okay, and each editor at least one textbook. Okay, so they have a minimum of one textbook each. And textbook. Okay. And then, but each textbook is only edited by one editor. So really, we just have these 3 groups, and we're adding these textbooks to these groups. We don't know how big each of the groups are exactly, but we do know that there's a minimum of 1 per group. Okay, so this is definitely a grouping game, and that should kind of get us started on the right track. Thinking about it as a grouping game there. Okay, great. So let's get into the rules. So F edits L or Z or both. L, Z, or L and Z. Okay. So what that is telling me is that if anybody else edits L or Z, then F has to edit the other one. So for example, if G edits Z, I know for sure that I have to put L in F. That's how I would think that probably is going to get applied. Okay. All right. Then if G edits M, then G only edits M. If G edits anything other than M, then G doesn't edit M. Okay. That's how that one would work with the contrapositive. H edits exactly 2 textbooks. 2. Okay, so that really limits our distribution of the textbooks. So we could maybe try like kind of drawing that out. So let's see. Why don't I draw a little diagram for this one? So we've got our editors. Okay, so we have F, G, and H. Okay, and then we know H edits exactly 2. 1, 2. We know F edits 1 and G edits 1. If G edits M, then it edits just M, and F edits 3 textbooks. But G could edit some other than M, potentially, right? We could maybe have 1 with F, 3 with G, and 2 with H, or we could have all of them have 2 each. So definitely a lot of different possibilities, but these are the spaces that absolutely must be filled, and then we could potentially add some more. Okay, so we have 2 potential spaces in each of F and G, but the total has to add up to 6. So if we add 2 to F, we don't have any left to add to G. All right, and H is set with those 2. H can't edit the macroeconomics textbook. Okay, so H can't edit M. So M is either with F or G. So that's kind of interesting. Okay, so that might be something where you want to split. You want to see, okay, what happens if F has M? What happens if G has M? Because if G has M, then G only edits M, and then F has 3 textbooks. So kind of interesting. And the editor of the psych textbook also edits the stats textbook. So P and S are stuck together. Okay. So yeah, definitely very, very interesting. Is there anything else that I can mention? L and Z are involved in that first rule. M is involved in the second rule. P and S are in the last rule. R is never mentioned. Okay, so R is wild. So that's a good thing to keep in mind. All right, which one of the following cannot be true? All right, so we have F has L, P, and S. If that's true, G has M, right? And then H has the remaining ones, which are R and Z, totally fine. F edits L, R, and Z. L and Z fine, R is wild. We would have P and S over here, M with G. G edits P, S, and R. So that one is suspicious, right? So if G edits those 3, that means F can only edit 1, but G edits those ones, doesn't edit M, and H can't. So that would mean that F is supposed to edit M, but F only has 1 spot, and F is supposed to edit LZ or L and Z. So it looks like C is the correct answer here because that one cannot be true. Yeah, so I do think that being aware of the distribution possibilities is kind of important here. Okay, and that is something that I figured out mainly based on rule 3, but then also noting that H can't edit M, and M is actually mentioned in 2 rules. So maybe trying to connect that, see what kind of impact that's going to have, is going to help you get through some of these questions a little bit quicker. So if you can see that at the beginning, then that's quite helpful. Yeah, hope that helps. At this point, maybe you would also have some acceptable solutions. So you could say, oh, well, I've seen an example where H edits P and S. I've seen what that looks like, and that's totally fine. So I can eliminate that one. So that might be another way that you could work through this question a little bit faster, process of elimination. But even if you just start from A and go through, if you already have a pretty good idea of the boundaries of the game and the distribution possibilities, then that's quite helpful. In terms of like, I do think the LSAT trainer is really good at dealing with this. One of the logic games chapters deals with numbers issues, and it's a fairly complex chapter. But yeah, definitely with grouping games, sometimes when you have an unknown number of players per group, then you want to, rather than just going into it with it completely unknown, you want to see, can you get some information and narrow down the options a little bit? Because sometimes, right in these answer choices, it was like, oh, well, if F has 3 players, that means G only has 1, and so on, right? So yeah, but I think a big one is if this group H doesn't have M, then M can either be with F or with G. If it's with G, that's going to cause a distribution shift where G only has 1 and then F has 3. So yeah, it all ties in together. Right, so yeah, hope that helps. If you have any questions, please let me know. If there are any other games that you would like me to demonstrate, I would be happy to do that. Yeah, so leave a comment or send me a message. Okay, have a good one. Bye.